I tell you, lock in. So, kind of tired today, but we want to push through with some relations and functions. Simple topic is one of the topics that well taught by teachers in the Caribbean. Um, it's one of those topics that, you know, as we do it, you'll be like, yeah, we learned that in school. So this session this little sesh should not be, too long. Should be a nice, easy session. Nothing too big to talk about. What's the different layouts I have here, boy? Real layouts. This man have here, boy. So we're gonna start, the drill. We're gonna start in a couple minutes. We're just giving people a little time to touch down. So yeah, new school in the background there. My head is kind of blocking the sign, but I was actually at this school last year. Last year before. One of our students was from this school. More than one. A good bit of our students were from this school. This school, what country you think this school is in? Anybody from this school? What country you think this school is from? This school actually has a lot of high performance students who do like 20 something CSEC subjects in one sitting. 20 something CSEC subjects in one sitting, Alia. You can imagine that. A lot of us would just do 6, 7, 8. So the biggest news in the house right now is this. The biggest news in the house is this, Alia. Everybody typing it in the chat. Paper 1 leaked. Why is we waiting on everybody to come in? Let's talk about that. Paper 1 leak. Paper 1 leak, sir. Paper 1 leak. So right now my inbox and Instagram filled with all of those messages. So paper 1 leak. So paper 1 leak. I don't find I get enough evidence to say paper 1 leak. But for all intents and purposes, hear me out. No, I don't think it's a leak. But kinda. Because every year a bunch of questions repeat. And I'm talking from like 50 to close to 100% of questions repeat. So if you know the paper 1 questions from before, which a lot of the Caribbean already know, used to be back in my days, only a very select few students would know, would have practice with a lesson teacher and practice in school. But now everybody, because of the internet, you could search Maths Paper 1 2022 and you could get the Paper 1. Although CXC like to pretend that is not a thing, it is a thing. So the Paper 1s are all over the internet. You could search on YouTube right now. I can't put it on my channel because my channel too big. CXC will be at my doorsteps in the morning. But people have that on their YouTube channel. Like some channels, that's all they do. I know the name of some of these channels. That's all they do. Paper 1, Paper 1, Paper 1, Paper 1. So of multiple subjects actually. Wow, we have 800 of here. So is the Paper 1 leaked? No, I don't think it's leaked based on what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this little image. I shared it on my Instagram, or you could check it out on my Instagram after at Kerwin Springer. There's an image going around of shabby looking. And they mark the 2024 Paper 1. But it's not. No, the questions, I ain't seen no questions or anything. Though ask all quite people in my inbox, people in my DMs send me the paper. They send me. As you watching it, like CXC Spy, is that you? See, CXC Spy, come better than this, CXC Spy, come better than this. So last year was one of the years. Last year, 2023, there was a leak in the paper 2. A leak happened in 2008 as well. There was other years where we just did paper 1s. And I know a lot of you all are like, yes, let me just do the paper 1s. Let something happen. And they probably have candle all around on their house and thing. And leak paper to leak so that you can just do paper ones, but it's actually a bad idea. It's a bad idea because it further weakens the integrity of CXC exams, which, to be honest, is in shambles right now. So that you ain't want the exam that the whole Caribbean doing to go further down into the drain. Also, it's not as easy as you think when you just have the paper ones to do. So like when you have the paper 2 and paper 1, and of course your SBA or your paper 3, if you're a private candidate, there is more variation in the grades. So like this is 50% of the mark, this is 30% of the mark, this is 20% of the mark. This is tough. So this is the only real true exam we have actually, or the written paper 3. So when this happens, there's a nice range of values for CXC to set their grade boundaries. When it's the paper 1 and most of the paper 1 is repeated, a lot of people, you would find yourself thinking you do well in maths and boom, shut, you end up with a 3. Thinking you pass and you end up with a 4. Why? Because you have to score really, really, really high in the paper 1 since everyone is going to do well in the paper 1. And I have seen this happen. If you go on my channel and you go back, you would see that this has happened twice or 3 times. Is it 3 times now? At least 2 times that's happened. So paper 2 being leaked is not a good thing. I know some of you think it's a good thing, and I still think it's a good thing after I say this. Paper 2 being leaked is just bad all around for the Caribbean. Paper 1, I don't think it is leaked, but if you really think about it, the amount of paper ones that are online, it come like it leaked already because most of the material that you're going to get tested on in paper 1 is online. What else I have to say? I have actually some important news. So CXC is in the country of Barbados. How many of you all know that? We're going to start just now. Let me just CXC is in the country of Barbados. So if you look on Wikipedia, you'll see some quick information on CXC. If you pull up Wikipedia now on your phone, and you would see this. Some people think CXC broke. Wikipedia money in USD. So let me make the screen a little bigger. You see that 50 million revenue. So CXC in poor, CXC does really well. Dr. Wayne Resley is the chief registrar, aka the boss. And CXC has a big, so where's Barbados boy? I'll be painting a nice little story here. Barbados, where I've been to Barbados, but just the airport actually. So I haven't been to any schools or anything in Barbados. Been to a few Caribbean countries. So yeah, CXC in Barbados. Anybody in Barbados know which part in Barbados? It actually had protests and thing outside CXC. If you just look up CXC, and scandal, or CXC and fiasco, or CXC and issue, you will see CXC like every single year something has happened. Us teachers on YouTube, we always talking about it. Every single year something has happened in CXC. Every single year since ever. So, and this man just became in charge like about 5-6 years ago, and since he come in charge, even more fiascos happening. So it's CXC. CXC is Dramaland. Dramaland always happening there. And right now they have a legal team, and some of you all may be familiar with websites like CXC Past Papers, CXC Past Papers. Any website that has CXC name in it, their legal team usually goes after them. We painting a little story here, people. You maybe don't know these things is be happening on the back end. Or you know CXC came after me already, just for the chat, just for me teaching on the channel. So imagine people who giving out past papers and things. So when I tell you CXC is not your friend, CXC is not your friend. CXC is not your friend. So they actually send letters, cease and desist. They don't want the past papers out. They think or using their name. That's a big no-no, which is understandable as a trademark. So they don't want people using their name in their things. Well, today I found out how many of you all heard about this? Chat CXC. How many of you all heard about Chat CXC? Some of you all must be using it. Type Y in the chat if you hear about this is our AI website where you can type in stuff. It's live right now. You can type in stuff and find out past papers and things. A very, very. I spoke to the guy who built this even before he published it. He sent the copies to me and showed me what was going on and thing. And a brilliant guy. He's from Trinidad. A student actually, a young man built this. I won't call the name of his school, but he built this chatcxe.com, and he asked me to put some of my material in terms of solutions and that kind of thing to or to train the AI. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's cool, and it's getting more and more functional. When it just started, it wasn't that functional in terms of the answers that it gives, but now it's people use it. I see teachers using it and thing. So well, yeah, he get hit with a cease and desist. He get hit with a cease and desist. My little young brother, they get hit with a cease. Hey, spell desist for me. He get hit with a cease and desist. Yeah, desist, right. So he get hit with a cease and desist. They tell him to cut that out. And they threaten him. They want back all the money that he made on anything that regards them. They want him to stop within like it's like he has 7 days to respond or something. It's real brutal. So he get hit with a cease and he says, I have all the CXC, so they send the man template, you know. Like they're so accustomed sending out cease and desist. They didn't even bother to edit the thing. It had other people thing on it. They send him on a template missing his information. Then when they realize they send him the template, they send him back over the real thing. So CXC should have to sit some of their exams before the legal team on CXC. Not that I want to anger the legal team on CXC. Next thing you know, they're running me down for silliness again. But oh gosh, all you need to sort out all yourself, legal team and CXC. So there's a man and cease and desist. So those of you all who are using this website, you may see that the name change at least. That is one thing that I think he has to do. But in terms of past papers and teaching, that's fair use. So I'm not a legal expert, but teachers are allowed to teach using textbooks, and teachers are allowed to use past papers. So you're not allowed to profit off of it, like to print their things and sell it. But in terms of decimating solutions, also solutions are yours. So you may see some websites like mine print solutions, but we wouldn't print we wouldn't give the past papers itself. We just give you the raw solutions. So and that's, by the way, that we had to start earlier. We can't go any longer. KerwinSpringer.com. If you're looking for past papers to any of the maths January, June from like 2010, I think I have on the website. It's good quality. The best quality solutions you will get online. Like I really type up the solutions really well. Tutors from the student have helped me with that. So, and it was a lot of work. So we have it out there and we keep updating it every time a new past paper come out. So let me just take a quick look at the comments and then we get jumping. So yeah, past papers. I don't believe the paper one leaked. Those of you who keep asking, I don't think it's leaked. I think that's just somebody playing the fool. No, people saying I telling CXC to come and take down this website. CXC hit this man at cease and desist are legal. I could maybe next time I'll pull up the cease and desist that they send them and stuff. They hit this man something. So what we should be doing is, outside CXC office, telling them what it is all you're doing again. They give you a chance out here. Anyhow, let me start with relations, functions, and graph. Time to lock in. Where's Shadrach when I need him, boy? Hey, look him. Speak of them. Time to lock in, everybody. So let me go. Ready? I'm trying to get Shadrach to thing off my. Right, nice. So relations and functions is this topic in question 4. I want you to look at yourself and congratulate yourself if you have been here for all 4 days. Look at that. We are 1,000 people in the live now. We're going to study relations and functions. A beautiful topic. This is actually one of the easier questions in the paper, and I'll show you one of the toughest ways that it can come. So stay tuned for that. But it's generally one of the easier questions because it's predictable. Predictable. So yeah, this is the topic with f of x. That f of x thing. G of x, f of x, h of x. That's that topic. And coordinate geometry is also pretty predictable. There are some formulas that you need to learn. So we're going to go through them. We're going to go through some sample questions that I think could come for exam. So we have things like gradient, midpoint, finding distance of a line. All of that you need to learn. So a couple of y'all, I think mostly came for the drama to hear what's going on. All right, so this is this is a question like what could come in your exam. Classic. Rate out of 10 how well you can do this question. Classic. You have a substitution. You have another substitution. And you have a, what is this? This is a compound or a composite function. And then you follow it up with a nice inverse. So I'm going to go through this in depth. So I want you all to stay with me here. We have f, because you all know we start off, we always go through it in depth. F of x is equal to 2 minus 5x. F of x is equal to 2 minus 5x. And now we're being asked to find f of 4. So this is just a style of substitution where you replace the x with the number that's inside the brackets. It's like the function is being described as 2 minus 5 times x. X has to go through this process. So if 4 replaces the x, instead of x, I'm going to write 4. But I don't just straight in like that. I 54. I need to straight in inside brackets like this. So I'll end up with 2 minus 20, and a lot of y'all are saying negative 18. That's totally correct. G of x, no, sorry, was h of x was 5 to the power of x. So we get in some indices play here. H of x is 5 to the power of x. And now we ask to find h of 0. So this is a fact. Any number to the power of 0 is, type it in your calculator and see. 5 to the power of 0. Any number to the power of 0 is, am I sharing the screen? Can I get my calculator into the game? You all know what's the recommended calculator? Boy, I remember I tell all you people is fight me down and say, can't use that calculator and thing. People used to be fighting me down in the past. People still fighting you down on this calculator, you know? So that calculator doing too much. I know that programmable, it's not programmable. So anyhow, 5 to the power of 0, 5 to the power of 0. Teachers and thing, you know, holding back the students. 5 to the power of 0 is 1. 5 to the power of 0 is 1. So any number to the power of 0 is 1. So that quick maths there, nothing too big. You all understand how to do those substitution parts. That one like this question for you. See this come in the exam paper, you hit them a big smile, you know, because you know you're just going to mash up that. F of h of negative 2. So these were the two functions here. And now we're being asked to find f of h, what is this, part 3? I think f of h of negative 2. So it's important to know which one comes first. Now, they actually give a number here, which is interesting. They give us a number because they could easily say f of h of x, which means we'll have to solve it like an algebraic, in terms, like an algebraic expression in terms of x. But now we have a number, it makes it a little easier for you. I might need to block somebody just now. I might need to block somebody just now. So we need stand by already. Block coming just now. You can see me block some people just now. So anyhow, so negative 2 is closest to the h. That means the h goes first. I want you all to remember this for when we're doing matrix transformation. Remember this. Remember this. The h is closest to the 2. So this one is going to be done first. H of negative 2. And when we get the answer for this, we're going to substitute into the f. So watch me proceed. I'm going to find h of negative 2, which is 5 to the power of negative 2. That is the same as what? That is the same as what? What is 5 to the power of negative 2, people? Now you can put it in your calculator and verify your answer. 5 to the power of negative 2. And you get 1 over 25. Or you could understand the rules of indices where a negative power means you could reciprocate like this and get the power positive. That's when you're dealing with negative exponents. So this is 1 over 5 squared, which is the same as 1 over 25. Now, we don't stop right there. We just found h of negative 2. Is that what they wanted us to find, by the way? H of negative 2? Yes. So we just found h of negative 2. Now we need to take this. Y'all understand what I'm saying? We need to take this answer, treat it like this one thing. So it's now like we're finding f of 1 over 25. F of 1 over 25. So once again, we look at f and we replace the x with the number, which is a fraction this time, 1 over 25. Knowing that 5 could go into 25 5 times, so it's like 1/5. So the final answer is 4 and 4/5. You can double check. Sorry. 1 and 4/5. You can double check on your calculator. 1 and 4/5, or also known as 1.8, is the final answer. So I'm seeing that, well done, Yangsu, you changed your name. Yangsu, you changed your name. You was this close to getting the block on Yangsu. Congratulations on finding your behavior. Look for it and you found it. Very good. So I'm seeing some people saying I'm going too fast. I saw one person said that. A couple of people say they don't understand I'm going too fast. To me, this is an easy topic. If it got a little worrisome if you find I'm going too fast here, because the substitution. For example, let me just do some quick things that bring them on board with you earlier. I'll let you chance if you can bring them on board with you. So like if I say f of x is 2 times x, and I ask you to find f of 1, it means that 2 times 1 is 2. If I ask you to find f of 5, that means 2 times 5 is 10. This is the function of x. If I ask you to find f of negative 3, it means 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. That making sense? Are you seeing the pattern? I'm replacing the x. I'm replacing the x. I'm replacing the x. We know to replace our x's, right? I'm replacing the x with the number, this number. Seeing it, f of 5, so it takes the position of the x. So that's the easy concept being tested there. That's all I did really so far in substitution. I also did a composite function in terms of substitution. So what I'm saying is, if we started off with 2 functions, let's just create 2 random functions. F of x is equal to 3x plus 1. G of x is equal to x squared. And I told you to find f. There's 2 ways it could come. I could ask you to find fg of, watch this, fg of 1. Let's say like f. Let's say fg of, let me make it interesting. Fg of negative 3. Or I can ask you to find f. Let's put g f of x. Let's put it this way. You can make it fg of x or g f of x. Right? You see that? So what's the difference between this question and this question? And this one actually gave you a number. Let's sorry for switching it up on you, but I just want to make it intriguing. So g f of x, I want to make both of them the same. Hey, gf boy. Someone you never see this letter before. That's a good thing. This could help keep, if you get this letter could sometimes terrorize you before an exam. You know? One of the worst things is a maths exam, and the next worst thing is a maths exam without a banker, with a heartbreak, with a bun. So GF of negative 3. This one, we actually have a number given it. We actually have a number inside. We have a number inside. This one, we have a letter, x. So it's different approaches. Are you ready to see the approach? The approach for this one, I would actually find f of 3 first. So I'd go ahead and find f of negative 3, which is 3 times negative 3 plus 1. Right? You see that? And you notice I do the f first and not the g first. The g comes first, like if I read in this way, the g comes first. But you always do the letter that's closest, the function that's closest to the number first. So this is actually negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8. Very good. Somebody put that in the chat. Who was that? That's Felicia. Felicia, you're cooking with Ramco gas. Well done. And then we take this. It's like this negative 8 replaces this now. envision it, my friends. Envision it. Can you see it? This f of -3 is being replaced by -8. So it's come like I have g of -8. And what is g? X squared. So I need to take this -8 and square them up. And since I'm squaring a negative number, it becomes positive. It's 64. And that's the answer there. So it actually gives a definite answer. So therefore, gf of -3 is 64. It gives a numerical answer. This one is a little more difficult for some students because this concept is not a number. So it's not like I could go ahead and find f of something. So it means I have to take the whole of f of x as itself. The whole function, the whole kit and caboodle. So take it and put it anywhere I see x here. You okay with that? So some teachers will teach you to write it back like this. They might tell you, go back and write g, and instead of writing the f of x here, write out what the f of x is. 3x plus 1. So there's a next way of expressing it. I'm taking the whole f of x and putting it into g of x. So that means anywhere I see x, I actually need to write the whole of f of x, which is 3x plus 1. So this is written as 3x plus 1 to be squared, which is this is called a perfect square. When you take something and you just square it, there's no additions on it or anything like that. So you just square in one thing, one binomial. This is a perfect square. And there's a shortcut way to square this. So you want to see the shortcut, let me go and learn. You're going to add it in the exam. So the long way, and the short way, if you have a perfect square, like say you have 2x plus 1 to be squared, and let me say you have let's make it a little more complicated, 3x minus 5 to be squared, and then 3x minus 5 to be squared. I'll show you how to do the short way. So the long way is to actually separate out all of them like this, because you're squaring the number, you multiply it by itself. And then you're going and do this kind of butterfly method thing, whoop, 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 also known as FOIL. The first will multiply by each other. The outers will multiply by each other, the outers. The inners will multiply by each other. And then the last will multiply by each other. That's why they call it FOIL. All right, call it the butterfly method. So you do 3x by 3x is 9x squared. 3x by -5x is -15x. -5 by that -15x happen again. You all follow me? -5 by 3x, -15x. -5 by -5 plus 25. You'll end up with 9x squared. And since you have the two terms repeated here, it actually turns to minus 30x. Anybody put that in the chat? Pick up anybody who put that in the chat. Minus 30x plus 25. That you did. That you did. But the shortcut way to do it is just to take this and square it. Square that. And take this and square it too. This, square that. All right. So if I square this 3x, I'll get 9x squared. Yeah, let's square the x too, right? This square -5, I'll actually get plus 25. So you get the middle term. To get the middle term, 2 by 3 by -5. 2 by 3 is 6. And 6 by -5, or 6 by 6 times that 30. 6 by -5 is -30x. Good. 2 by 3x by -5. So a useful shortcut is going to happen in your exam and if you save you a little 1 minute here. Yeah. So in this case, this is actually equal to 9x squared plus 1 squared is 1. And 2 by 3 is 6 by 1 is 6x. And that's your answer. We cooking it around Kogasti. So what y'all think? What's your thoughts on functions? There's also this thing when there's a -1 sign there. What does that mean? That means inverse. So if I'm asked to find the inverse function, I will show you all some tricks with inverse. Never seen before tricks with inverse. Let's say I have f of x is equal to x plus 1. Think of functions like a machine. So like this is f of x. This is a mechanism here. You have a belt rolling in here. Of course, what side you call the input. And then you're rolling out a product here on the conveyor belt. This is the output here, right? Output coming out here and you input a number there. Functions. So let me say we send in the number 3 here. Bang, the number 4 will come out. because it's x plus 1. So let me make it a little more interesting. Let's say let's say the function was 5x. 5x. You're sending -2 here. Bang, what going to happen here? What going to plug out if it's 5 times x? Well, -10, right? -10, -10. So the inverse is like if you go backwards. It's like if you run the machine in reverse. That's f inverse. And reverse, inverse. Catch it? So f inverse, if this is f of x, it's clear to see that f inverse is x over 5. That just makes perfect sense. So like for example, if I sent in the number 10, what will pop out here? 50, right? 50 will pop out. And if I reverse it, it'll be 50 divided by 5. I get back 10. Makes so much sense. So it's kind of easy to work out the inverse if the function is simple. Like if f of x is x plus 3, if I have to go in reverse, that makes sense that I need to take back away the 3 that I add on x minus 3. In fact, you could actually work out the inverse, and the question is similar to this. Let's say I have 2x plus 5. What did I do to the number? Think people. What did I do to the number? Come on. Let's see those brain cells work. What would f inverse be? What would f inverse of x be? Well, I multiply the number by 2, and then I added 5. So if I need to go in reverse, I'll need to subtract 5, and then divide that answer by 2. This is f inverse. Makes perfect sense. You understand? And we could check it out. So like if I send 10 into this, f of 10, it will be 2 by 10 plus 5, 20 plus 5 is 25. And now if I take this 25 and send it into that, what will happen? F inverse of 25. Guess what we're going to happen? Come on, your paws supposed to be raising here, people. You're seeing the light. While you're seeing the light, you're kind of understanding the inner workings of functions now. If I take this 25 and put it back in here, 25 minus 5 is 20 divided by 2. I will get back the 10 that start off with. And that there's a massive trick in this that I just exposed it. We can see it pop up in our question just now. We can see it pop up in our question. So they asked us to find f inverse of what? What we asked to find? F inverse of x. F inverse of x. If f of x was, what was f of x? 2 minus 5x. Now I want to show, now as I said, we could think of this separately as adding on the 2 and then, multiplying by -5, then adding on 2. But so you can work it out very quickly. But I want to show you all the long way of finding the inverse. You must know this method. So first things first, you're going to let y be equal to f of x. Everybody okay with that? Yeah, they write these steps, eh? Excuse me. Let y be equal to f of x. So that's the first thing. So you do that. Y is equal to 2 minus 5 by x. Then you interchange variables. So you're going to interchange variables. So where we see y, we put x, and where we see x, we put y. So I'll show you the hard version of this soon in a question. Then we're going to make y the subject of the formula. That's the field-proof way to do this question. 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. And these 3 steps, I ain't write this for style. You have to put in the question when you're doing it. You have to say that you have to write this. You don't just write this and this. Because if you write this and then you write this line, that ain't making no mathematical sense. Or you could write this and then just interchange the variables just so you need to get them the instructions. You can't just do things out just so in the mathematical streets. You have to be clear about what you're doing. The next step is making y the subject of the formula. This is when you actually start to work out the question for real, because you start to reverse everything. So you bring across the 2. So you have x minus 2 is equal to -5. Then you bring across the -5, which is multiplying on this side. So it turns to divide. And I use the word bring across a lot of times. I just mean do the inverse of the function. It comes like you divide both sides by -5. But it's useful to think of things like you're bringing it across and it's switching into its inverse function. It makes your mathematics a little faster. So, and then you write, therefore, f inverse of x is equal to x minus 2 over negative 5, and you collect your marks and you go your way. So this is the way of finding inverse. This is the method. It's a 3-step method, and you have to write these 3 steps and you follow through. This part of the first 2 steps is just English in it. Think about it. Let y be equal to f of x, so wherever you see f of x, change it with y. Interchange variables, so wherever you see x per y, wherever you see y per x. English. This is where the real maths start. And what you're doing in maths here, what topic is this? This is called transposition, or subject of the formula, where you're moving things across. So practice this, people. If you need more help on it, just look up inverse functions on my YouTube channel, Kerwin Springer Functions, Kerwin Springer Inverse Functions. Let's see what next we have in store. So they said, given that f of x is equal to a plus bx, determine the value of a and b. So they're saying f of x is equal to ax plus b. Was it ax plus b? I read it kind of fast. No, a plus bx. And now we need to figure out the values of that a and that b. Firstly, I have a question for you all. I have a question for everybody here online right now. This is f of x, right? What does that mean? f of x. What does that mean? What's another way you can represent this? What's another way we can represent this? There's another way that they bring it sometimes, and people is do all kind of extraordinary things when they express it another way. We can represent this f2x. That doesn't mean to square the f. So this is actually a composite function, just like before when we had the fg of x or gf of x. It's saying to do f of x, and then do f of x one more time. Don't ever use the word squared when you see this. Don't ever use the word squared when you see this. So TLK, substituting f of x in f of x. Yes, that's what it is. So I would advise you not to use the word squared. Use f2x. You mean you could say f squared x, but I don't want you to think of this like you're squaring this. Don't go and square whatever f of x is. F of x in this question is 2 minus 5x. So f of x is 2 minus 5x. You are not squaring this. No, it's not squaring. So if you ever see this, don't go and square the people function. Please, I beg, you don't do that. So what this means is to take f of x and put it inside f again. So if this functions thing is kind of you're struggling to understand this, I really need you all to understand that you're overthinking it, bro. You're overthinking it. One of the things that really pains me is to see people don't understand things in mathematics. It's kind of hurt me because it's a simple concept. If you only know how simple it was, you know, it's simple. Just get your curiosity up. Get your curiosity up, people. Get your curiosity up. It's simple. You could work it. You could figure out. Any one of y'all who don't understand it right now, you could sit down with my channel and a piece of paper tonight and figure out this functions thing and secure that question for boy. I'm telling you, a serious thing. You could learn it. You could learn it. It's not hard. It's simple. So f of x, you see in f of x, it means you're going to do f of x and then do it again. So as I said before, I could write this. Let's ignore this for now. I could write this as f2 minus 5x. Because what is this? This is f of x. So it means anywhere that I see x, what is going to happen? Anywhere that I see x, I'm going to replace it with, guess who? I'm going to replace it with 2 minus 5x. I'm going to replace it with the 2 minus 5x. Take how much time you need to understand this. So f of x means take f of x and put it back in itself. So whatever f of x is 2 minus 5x, I'm going to take it and put it back where I see x there. And that's what I did, 2 minus 5x. And I'm going to work this out. So this is 2, negative 5 by 2. This is distributing, right? Negative 5 by 2 is negative 10. Negative 5 by negative 5x is actually positive 25x. 2 minus 10 is negative 8 plus 25x. Some of you all in the answers in the chat forgot to multiply the negative by the negative here and get a positive. Somebody tell me negative 25. Where's that one? So therefore, So it's in the form of the answer that I want, right? It's in the form of a plus bx. Therefore, a is equal to negative 8. And b is equal to what? B is equal to 25. And you just your hands up that question. Just your hands up that question. So what y'all think of this sample here? This is what came in. This is actually the entire question for January. This is an easy version. Easy thing. If this come, permission granted to get on the table and take a little dance and come back. So let's try out another one. Let's try out another one. This wasn't too bad, man. This wasn't too bad at all. So the function g is given by this. So this is a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario when dealing with functions. And I'll show you why. Why is this one terrible? Those in my class already know what to do. You have your spidey senses tingling when you see this. Why is this one an issue? Why would this one pose an issue? This will be easy enough. This is a fact that you need to learn. So I'm going to show you this fact. I'm teaching all the real thing here, but the real value all you get. Find the value of x for which g of x is equal to 4/9. So this should be okay-ish. But this is a special. This is a special combo here. You need to know these special moves. Triangle, square, square, triangle, square. You need to know these special. Yeah, so everybody's saying it has two binomials. It has two x. It has two x's. The presence of two x's in a function is make it a little more interesting when you're finding the inverse. So we're going to learn a lot of stuff out of this question. This question is going to be used for a really nice example here. So let's pay attention. What is g of x? Last night when we was doing class, Drake dropped a tune or a little bit after. So I expected Kendrick to come out with something tonight, after this class. You see a little something from the kennels. Key dot. X plus 2. Right? So this is g of x, and now we asked to find g of 1. This is the easiest thing you could get asked in functions, a straight direct substitution. So g of 1 just means replace anywhere we see x with 1. So this is 2 minus 3, 1 minus 2. This is good speed for you. 2 by 1 is 2 minus 3. That's all I did. And that's all I did. That's all I did. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And 1 minus 2 is negative. Hold on. Something feeling fishy. Something feels suspicious. 2x minus 3. X plus 1. 2x minus 3. X plus 1. 1. 2 by 2. 2 minus 2. Negative 1. 1 minus. Answers are like for this. Why it working out to be exactly one? Why my solutions? They really wanted me to get 1 for this. It was 1 plus 2. Oh, I have a minus here. I have a minus there. It should be a plus. It's not minus 2, it's plus 2. Yeah. See? A little transcription error there. I write the wrong thing. So yeah, negative 1/3 is the answer. And a little fact that you should know, a lot of people is be confused about this. Let's say I have negative 1/3 and I have a negative by the 1 there. What I mean, does that mean I could call the fraction negative? Yes or no? Yes or no? What do you think? Are these two things equal to each other? Is negative 1/3 the same as negative 1/3? How about if I had a negative here? Is that the same as negative 1/3 then? Yes or no? Important questions to ask yourself. Or what about if I had both of them being negative? Is that the real negative 1/3? Yes or no? Something a lot of people have this question in their hearts when they're doing maths, but they never really ask the teacher. So I'm asking you, asking on your behalf to ask the teacher, right? So somebody said it can have negative denominators. Who told you that? Of course it can have negative denominators. Negative sign can end up anyway. So 1 over negative 3, is that the same as negative 1 over 3? Negative 1 over 3, is that the same as if you put the negative sign in the center? Does this mean the fraction is negative? Yes. If there's a negative sign in the numerator, the fraction is negative. Now, the next two might amaze you. If there's a negative sign on the denominator, yes, the fraction is negative. So are you telling me that negative 1 over 3 is the same as 1 over negative 3? Yes, it is. The mysteries of mathematics. It's exactly the same. It's logically the same thing. It's the same thing. Put it in your calculator will agree with you. So these two are actually the same thing, and they just mean negative 1, 2. So that's good. Memorize that. However, if you put both of them negative, you'd actually cancel the negative sign, and this is actually equal to positive 1, 2. So the answer was no for this. This is not equal to that. Now you know. So negative 1, 2, those of y'all who want to write this like negative 1, 2, go ahead, permission granted. So what's the next part of the question? Find the value of x which the function is undefined. So what I want you to do is the next exercise. I want you to take out your calculator. Hopefully you have the Casio, but even if you have the Sharp, take out your calculator. Write a random number. Come on, magic trick time now. Take out your calculator. Write a random number in your calculator. Tap, 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 tap. So you have your random number. Pick your number there. Hopefully you write the number 1. Come on, man. You had to write the number 1. You had to manifest it. I hope you didn't write the number 3 or 4. Anyhow, so you write the number 1. And I want you to try to divide that number by 0. Divide whatever number you have by 0. Divide it by 0. And tell me what your calculator tell you. What did your calculator see? What your calculator see? What? Write out what your calculator tell you. Most likely your calculator tell you, not here, bro, or sis, or nah. Right? Or your calculator tell you, don't do that here. Math error 2, undefined. Your calculator will tell you, cut that off. We don't do that over here. Division by 0 is an unacceptable thing in mathematics. It cannot be defined. Let me describe another trick that happens in mathematics, another idea that kind of messes up with students. If I said, find 10 divided by a half, what is the answer? 10 divided by a half. Very quickly type the answer. Very quickly type your answer in the chat. See, are you seeing the 5s? Are you seeing the sprinklings of 5s? Are you seeing them? 10 divided by a half. You seeing the sprinkling of 5s? Are you seeing it? It's very logical for you to think that it's 5. It's 20. Now you're like, oh, everything I knew is a lie. everything I know is how 10 divided by a half is 20. When you divide by a fraction, you actually increase the value of the numerator. You increase the value of the numerator. 10 divided by 2 is actually 10 multiplier. Remember, this is supposed to reciprocate, brother man. So you end up with 20. The smaller the fraction, the bigger the number you're going to get. So then how do we get 10 divided by 2 is 5? Or if I said half of 10, that is 5. Because that means half multiplied by 10, 2 we're going to that, you get 5. But 10 divided by a half is not the same as half of 10. Sorting out some other mathematical thought processes here, right? So we're going to reciprocate this if we have. So the reason I brought up that is the smaller the fraction you make, 10 divided by a half turn out to be 20. If you make a really small fraction, like 10 divided by 1,000, or 10 divided by 1 and you put a really big number, or you put 0.00003, the smaller the fraction you put is the larger the answer that you will get here. This means that as this tends towards 0, this will tend toward infinity. Because if we could make the really smallest number here, we could make the really biggest number. You understand? So which is why when you start to go to a really small number, if I try to separate Think about division. What does division mean? Back to primary school. 10 divided by 2 mean cut it into two portions. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to get so I could help me get a little 5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going on way. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I say 10 divided by 2, I'll get 5 pieces each. 10 divided by 2 is 5 pieces each, right? Not so? 10 divided by 2, 5 pieces. If I say 10 divided into 5 parts, I'll look at visualize the pie and thing that I had back in the days. I will get 2 pieces each. Everybody will get 2 pieces. So the smaller the number, the more the pieces. 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 1, I'll get 10. 10 divided by a half, I'll actually get 20 pieces. Because I had 10 pieces, and this is like a flashback to the primary school class party. When you bring a pizza, let's say the pizza have 12 pieces, but that pizza really had 24 pieces when they're done with it, because they divide each piece by a half. It makes sense. Divided by a smaller number, you actually go bigger and bigger and bigger. So if I tend towards 0 here, I'm tending towards, the answer is going to tend towards what we could call infinity, or better written as an undefined answer. So we can't divide by 0. All that long talk just now was just to pong into your mind that we could never, ever put a 0 in a denominator. Denominator can be 0. You can't put a 0 in the denominator. So let's go back to the question. Find the value of x for where the function is undefined. Denominator can be 0. So we have the function g of x is equal to 2x minus 3, and it is undefined when the denominator x plus 2 try to be 0, because the denominator can't be 0. And the value of x that will make the denominator 0, bring across the 2 now, you'll get x is negative 2. So if x is negative 2, stay with me earlier. If x is negative 2 and I put negative 2 in there, negative 2 plus 2, write it in your calculator. If you don't understand directed numbers, negative 2 plus 2 is 0. That's like a trying to divide by 0, which we already know is a no-no. So that's when it's undefined. Memorize that piece of knowledge there. Could pop in your exam. Find the value of x for which g of x is equal to 4/9. So this is a substitution. They want g of x to be equal to 4/9 in the next part of the question. G of x is equal to 4/9. That means this part is 4/9. So 4/9 will go here, and you put 2x minus 3 over x plus 2. There are different categories of people on this live right now. There are people who already getting a 1 without watching the live. They just here to polish up and maybe make the miracles. There are people who like in the 2 zones. There are people who like in the 3 zones. And there are people who like in the 4s and 5s. And them just watching this for entertainment. They know ain't really making maths this wrong. Next year for that. Well, let me take in something. Let me see what can happen. Let me see what can happen. I'm a hopeful here, right? I want to talk to this group of people here, like 4, 3 range, even a little piece of the 5, a little piece of the 2. Some of you all watching me do this and you're like, yes, that makes sense. I understand it now. And you're content with that. If that is you, I want to pull up your socks and say, if you continue like that, you will end up in this spot here. You might get a 4. You need to actually go and practice it. Just seeing me doing it and being like, yes, I understand. Yes, sir, that's true. That makes sense. Yeah, it can't divide by 0 there. You need to practice it. Because actually writing all the questions and watching somebody write all the questions is 2 different things. Watching this g of x equal 4/9, also say g of x is 4/9, so I'm going to replace this with 4/9, nice, and you're following it. No, practice the questions. In case you don't know, we posting the questions on the Discord channel. In the Students of Discord channel, we posting it on the Facebook group as well. So if you want the questions, if you go and learn there, or you could just get some past papers and do some questions. all the solutions to the past papers on my website, kerwinspringer.com. You cannot pass maths without doing practice questions. Maths is not a read it subject. It's not a penmanship subject either. You can't just copy down solutions. You need to go through the friction and the frustration. Every time you go through some frustration in mathematics and you're like, you're sweating, you're crying, you're whatever, and then you eventually get over a hurdle. Those of you who really good in maths, it's happening at maths. So if you're really good in maths, it'll catch up to you in pure maths. You have to go through some hurdles before you understand some things. All right, enough preaching. So let me do a little cross multiplication. So you're going to end up with 4 by x plus 2 and 9 by 2x minus 3. 4x plus 8 distributing 18x and negative 27. Bring all the x's on one side and all the numbers on one side. So we have 4x minus 18x is equal to negative 27 minus 8. And we'll have negative 14x is equal to negative, where you carrying me up to by 35? Negative 35. Both of these numbers divisible by 7. So x is equal to negative 35 over negative 14, which is 7 will go into this 5 times, 7 will go into this 2 times. 5 over 2, I'll get 5 over 2. Let me just double check. 5 over 2. Yeah, 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is the final answer for that. So I'm working a little faster through the algebra part. And I know some of you all need a little more time to soak in the algebra part. So you can always come back and watch it through, do it for yourself. How I'm solving that, right? Let's see what's next in this question. Last part, G inverse of X. So we come to the meat of the matter. We arrive at the meat of the matter. So this is the part that I told you could get a little ticklish when you have two variables. In fact, you can't do this one mentally that easily. Like the others, we could even just get the inverse mentally one time. So let's follow the process and see if we could come out with least amount of damage. So what was it? Was it 2x minus 3 and x plus 2? That was g of x. And now we're being asked to find g inverse. So what was the step? The first step was to let f of x be equal to y. In this case, it's g of x. Let y be equal to g of x. So I'll replace that y like that. So the first two steps is still penmanship. It's still English. You just follow the instructions. Interchange variables. Interchange variables. So where we see y, we put x. Where we see x, we put y. So I'll put x here, put 2y minus 3 and y plus 2. Notice that I end up with 2 y's. That's where the bacchanal starts. So far, so good. I just did these steps that I taught you. Step 1, step 2. Now to go to step 3. Ready? Ready? We're not ready for this step 3. So the step 3 is make y the subject of the formula. I see this person say I'm moving too fast. Barry, I'm moving too fast, boy. Been good speed, boy, Barry, boy. And about the papers leak, we can talk about that just now. I don't think it leak. Excuse me. I'm feeling it for the one or two of y'all who find it going a little too fast. You all need to look up the topic. What's the topic? The topic is functions. Look it up on my channel and watch the short videos on it. I'm actually moving at a slowish pace. So if this is too fast for you at this stage, you need to put in some work. Yeah. You could always pause and watch and write and thing and follow in. All right, let me not slow down anymore. So make y the subject of the formula. So the first step, so some of you would have tried this to make y the subject of the formula and you may have end up in some problems. So there's one way to do it when you have two variables like this. First thing first is to make everything flat. Get rid of this fraction. You need to make it integral. Just integers and coefficients coming across like that. So get rid of the fractions. And how we do that is multiply this y plus 2 on both sides. So in other words, it come like you're bringing across the y plus 2 to meet the x. So you'll end up with x by y plus 2 is equal to 2y minus 3. So that's your first step in these kind of questions. If it was just a y on the bottom, you'd just bring up the xy there, right? The next step is you have no choice but to bust open the brackets. You have to distribute. You have no choice. You have to go inside them brackets there. So you're going to be xy plus 2x is equal to 2y minus 3. Now you're starting to see a way. Why are you starting to see a way? Because we really want y by itself. That's the whole step. Make y the subject of the formula. Make y. And we see in the y is kind of exposed now. Seeing it? The y is exposed. Y is exposed. So let's bring them across. Let's bring them across. Xy, and I'll throw away this 2x on the next side one time. Xy minus 2y is equal to negative 3 minus 2x. You understand that? I bring all the y's on one side. Notice how it switches the operation when it comes across, right? The final step is the final piece of trickery that you have to do. Final piece of ninja maths you have to do here. You have to squeeze all them y's into one. What is that called? What is that process called in mathematics? We did it 2 days ago. That process is basic factorization. What is common? There's a y common here, and we want that by itself. And that piece, that movement, that factorization created 1y. That's the whole thing. We wanted 1y. So x minus 2 is equal to minus 3 minus 2x. And what's the last step? The last step is just bringing this back down. Just like how you brought this up to meet the x here, you're going to bring this back down because you don't need this again. It's multiplying by the y, so it will divide when it comes across. So y is equal to negative 3 minus 2x over x minus 2. And we are finished. So we just need to say, therefore, g inverse of x is negative 3 minus 2x over x minus 2. So this is the toughest thing that can happen for an inverse question. I hope you understand that, right? This is the toughest thing that can happen for an inverse question. Now, some of y'all may have experienced something that looks a little scary in that, and I want to tell you the answer is still correct, in that you may have gotten something like this. Maybe you got negative 3 minus 2x over negative 2 plus x. That's the same thing. This just rearranged. That's the same thing. Or, which another one that is actually a little more scary, but it's the same thing. It just means that you may have done some switching up here. You may have gotten 3 plus 2x over x minus 2. That is also correct. So I don't have the time to like go through why this and this is the same. But if you got this is the same answer, you may have just done some switching up there. The idea is that if I multiply the top and the bottom by negative 1, that's like I'm multiplying by 1, and this will just turn into that. So, okay. Let's see what's next on this paper. Draw the following lines on the grid. So we have y is equal to 2x. Y is equal to 2x, and then we need to draw this line. And on the grid below, shade the region which satisfies the 4 inequalities. This. What is this? When we're looking at inequalities, we need to look at if it was equal to 0. So x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, right? Pay attention on it. Pay attention quick. We'll finish shortly. X is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0. This is actually called the y-axis. And we said this a few times. And this is actually called the x-axis. Well, they zone out. Zone back in. Zone. Come back home. Come back home. Come back home. I feel some people zone out. I'm sensing it in the horizon. I'm sensing it across the Caribbean. Zone back in. We end this topic here. We start a new question. Look at that. We start. Y is equal to 2x. 2x plus y is equal to 7. Zone in. Lock in. Shadrach. Where's Shadrach? Lock in. We there? There we go. So x is equal to 0. That's actually called the y-axis. And you remember yesterday when I bring up my little graph thing? Let me bring it up, and this might bring back everybody out of the days. X is equal to 0. Remember, we did X is equal to 2 or 3 or 4, them kind of thing, and we get a vertical line. Imagine if we say X is equal to 0. X is equal to 0 is the y-axis. And y is equal to 0. Come on, don't do me like that. Press O. Oh, yeah, press O. Y is equal to 0 is the x-axis. So always remember that. That's going to be tested in the exam for sure, for certainty. So these lines are just basically saying they want us to shade everything above the x-axis, you understand? And to the right of the y-axis. And then we have this line, which we already had to draw, and this line. So it's like, what is this question? What is this question? What is this question? This question is a kind of linear programming something. It have a kind of linear programming vibes. Now, you don't need to do the linear programming part where you'll probably find the region of best fit and that kind of thing. But it's inequalities with graphs. It's inequalities with graphs. So y is equal to 2x. If I put this in here, y is equal to 2x. How would that line? Y is equal to 2x. That's this line. Now notice this one here. Everywhere along this line, y is equal to 2x. What do you think we call it the line y is equal to 2x for? If I get this point on this line, this point is 2, 4. It's hard for me to settle on the point. That point there is 2, 4. When x is 2, y is 4. When x is 4, y is 8. So y is equal to 2x is an easy line to draw. You're visualizing it? 6, just need to go up to 12. So on my graph page now, if I want to draw the line y is equal to 2x, I just need to find a number and get the double of that number. There's a point D right there. And I'll show them that in my working. Like, let's see, -4 has to go to -8. And then I will connect this like that. I will draw my ruler and connect and make sure it passes through 0. I need to pass through 0. I will pass through this point, I'll pass through this point, I'll pass through this point, this point. I'll get a line that looking like this. But it will be straight and going up the road. You all understand? That'll be the line y is equal to 2x. Then drawing this line is a little more tricky. So what did I say? Those of you who follow my YouTube channel, when you have a line like this, and it's those of you who was in the crash course in the student hub, we talked about this. This is not one of the generic lines like y is equal to x or y is equal to 2x. There's another generic line like x plus y is equal to a number like 10. There's a fast way to draw these lines. What do you substitute to make a line like this to make your life easier when you need to draw this line? Now, we know to substitute value. Substitute x equals something, find the y. What's the best thing to substitute? In the exam, you want to finish this exam as fast as possible. The best thing to substitute is when you're drawing a line, you don't need to make it any form y equal mx plus c either. The best thing to do is substitute x is equal to 0. Man, are they press like on the video, boy? It's too much tips coming out here. Are they press like? If you're pressing like, you're rubbing me right now. Press like. So the best thing to do is substitute x equals 0, people. And what I will do is quickly just tell you, when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 7. That's the y-intercept. Because you're seeing 0 turn this 2 by 0, and y is equal to 7. And then the next thing to do is substitute. Still thinking, press like. Substitute y is equal to 0. What I mean, 2x plus 0 is equal to 7. X would be equal to 7 over 2, which is, I speed through this, it bring across the 2, 3.5. So always substitute x equal to 0, y equal to 0. You get two quick answers. 0, 3.5 is on this graph. Did I write that correctly? I don't think I did. 3.50 is on this graph. And 0, 7 is on this graph. So I just need to go find these 2 points and I'll connect them. 0, 7 is up here. Remember this line coming up the road like this. Going up the road so. 0, 7, you'll understand how to find points in a plane. 0, 7, that line. And then I had 0, 3.5. This is 3, 3.5 will be here, so bang, that next point. And I want to connect these 2 points like this. Play. Cooking. They're cooking at Ramco gas. Ramco gas, we're cooking right there. So it look like it passed through this point, this point, this point. Yeah, that making sense. Look for little patterns and thing, eh? Skilled people, you look for patterns and thing. Make sure you think making sense. So let me go to how the final answer would look like. Because they wanted us to get above this, also above the y is greater than 2x line. That is, so above this line, you understand? Above this line, but below this line. So they want under this line. You all can visualize the region there. So it has to be under this line, above this line, more than the y-axis, and more than the x-axis. I mean, you must see the region of best fit. They're going to ask you to shade the region. Shade the region. Come on, man. Have you seen it? Don't tell me you're thinking this triangle on top here. Is this one here, right? Why isn't it chat if you're seeing that is the region? So let's go and look at a better diagram because my diagram draw kind of weird. This is the y equal 2x line. This is the 2x plus y equals 7 line. Under, above, across, up. The region of best fit is here. Region of best fit is there. Yes, class. Best fit. Why I'm saying best fit? The region of commonality. Region of commonality. Common region for all of them. Region that satisfies the 4 inequalities. Oof. All right, so let's just do this last question and we will bring with journey to end. Let me just do this last question. Should I do this inequalities? Nah, I'm not doing this part. We already do enough inequalities. Oh, I should do this. Oh, this is a real interesting question, boy. This question is hyper interesting. So this piques my interest. But I definitely should do something on coordinate geometry because we didn't do that yet for the night. So let's just handle this coordinate geometry proper. It look like this coordinate geometry is going to do a lot for us. So coordinate geometry, you must know equation of the line y equal mx plus c. Study that a lot. State the gradient of the line L1. Well, this is in the form y is equal to mx plus c. It is in the form y is equal to mx plus c. And from this, we could directly read off, since there's no number in front of y, we could read off that the gradient. So the axis is stated anyway, so we just need to write m. Don't just throw in m there. M is understood for gradient, but we will call it gradient of L1 equal m1. m1 is equal to negative 2/3. You could read it off. What's it in this form? Only watch this. They go back to this graphing calculator. Show us real things. +1. You understand that this number is the y-intercept? All you knew that? What do y-intercept mean? We're intercepting the y-axis. The y-axis is the one that goes straight up, right? So what do you think will happen if I change this number to 2? The graph going up. And gradient just mean how steep. So if I reduce this number, right? Like if I say 1.5, you expect the line to still cut through the 2 because I didn't change this number, this 2 here. I want to change this 2. So if I reduce this, think about it, you expect the gradient to get less slopey. You see how it going down there? You see it, people? All you understand? Let me do a next line. Let me say I say y is equal to, what would happen if I make a negative gradient? Think about that. I wanted to cut through 5. I didn't write the gradient yet, so the thinking the gradient is 1. What would happen if I make the gradient negative? You see it? It going down, the line going down. I made it negative 2, the line went down like this. So as you go across, the line goes down. So this number really tells us what the gradient of the line is. And this number tells us where it will cut the y-axis, cuts at 5. So that's what they mean when they say m and c. Y equal mx plus c. The m here. So if I drew this line, if I say y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 5 over 2, y is equal to negative 2 over 3 x plus 5 over 2. That's how the line will look, that black line coming down there. It will cut at 5 over 2, which is 2.5, and it has a negative gradient that is going down like that. I literally draw the line there. How you feel about that? I hope that gives some more clarity. So the gradient of the line is simply negative 2 over 3. The point A, B, 3, A, open brackets, B3, lies on the line L1. Determine the value of B. How do you determine the value of, like, this is called the X coordinate, if given the Y coordinate? There's a lot of cases, there's a lot of topics in maths that use substitution in a fancy way. So we just see how substitution is used in functions f of x. This is how coordinate geometry uses substitution. So the instruction here is to substitute this as your y value and let whatever is x fall out. Watch. Y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 5 over 2. What they are telling us to do here is to replace the y with the 3 and use your algebraic skills, which you have a lot of, right? To figure out what x would be. So you want to rearrange this and solve for x. Can you do it, is the question. Can you do it, ladies and gentlemen? So you want to take this and see if you can get the value of x. What's your first step in something like this, people? What's the first step? This is a nice question. How do we get to x? What's your first step in a situation like this? First step, if you have these fractions, would be to multiply by the LCM of this. That might be an easy move. So another other person saying to bring across this, so you can have 3 minus 5 over 2. That's good as well. That's good as well. But to make the maths easier and to avoid using calculators and things, I might just multiply by 3 by 2 is 6. So I can multiply everything by 6 and things will come nice enough. So there's a little tip there. But nothing wrong if you just brought this across and you work with it normal. So just make sure you don't make a mistake when you multiply by 6. Everybody got to get multiplied by 6. 6 by 3 is 18. If I multiply this by 6, the 3 will cancel with the 6 and I'll just end up with 2. So this is negative 4x. This is probably a kind of toughish idea for some people. 6 by 2, 6 multiplied by this. Can you envision that 3 will survive? So I'll end up with 15 here. And now this is easier to solve. Easier to solve this, right? I just bring across the 15. I'll get 18 minus 15 is equal to negative 4x. So I'll get 3 is equal to negative 4x. So it turns out that x is equal to 3 over negative 4 when I bring across the negative 4. But if I did it the other way, what would have happened? I'll get 3 minus 5 over 2 is equal to negative 2 and 3x. I could use my calculator to figure out what this is. This is actually negative and half. No, this is just positive a half actually. 3 minus 5 over 2, 2.5. Yeah. So negative 2/3 x. Now I divide by this, so it's like a half divided by negative 2/3 equal to x. Did I just make a mistake? No, I didn't. So I'll be a half multiplied by 3 over negative 2 is equal to x. So I'll still get x is equal to 3 over negative 4 this way. So this was interesting. You all could practice doing this one because it had fractions, and I know some people enemy is fractions, especially when they have negative numbers involved, negative fractions. So we got the x value. Now watch this. I want to show you all something interesting. When this is equal to 3, I can do that here. I could go and check them out here. When y was equal to 3 on the black line, this was really and truly some kind of negative fraction, really and truly negative, some kind of negative something was happening. Negative, what we get? Negative 3/4. Yeah, that really feeling like a negative 3/4. We go and check it out. Yeah, interesting, right? Okay, so let's do the last bit, because this is in the ending of a coordinate geometry question, and I feel like we had to wrap up here. In the ending of those of you all in my class, I will send the full solutions to this worksheet to you all. Line L, 2 passes through the point 0, -1 is perpendicular to L1. So what usually happens at the ending of coordinate geometry, they like to ask you about parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines. I'm noticing a trend in some people. I just want to say I preach a lot today, but I want to say one last thing. And then we'll talk about elite papers and anything else I can talk. A trend is that some of you all understand the topic that I'm teaching. But then when I go on to do the fundamental stuff like the fractions and the algebra and the break and just transposing and solving things really fast, you're like, oh God, sir, slow down, too fast. Somebody like that. So you understand the topic when I describe the topic and this is what's going on in this topic. And then when I just do the basic stuff, or aka the foundation, your foundation real weak. Some are all you standing on shaky ground. All you building a house with no foundation. And when I mean foundation, I'm talking about the algebra and the arithmetic. You can be 3 minus 5 and I say, okay, that's -2. And you're like, oh God, sir, too fast. I mean, you know, no foundation, right? I'm telling you in big, I'm giving you an honest opinion as a maths teacher here. You need to go and practice a lot of these questions. Our teacher back in secondary school used to give us A to Z to do. And each one are parts and thing, part 1, part 2, part 3. In the student hub, we give students assignments every single week. Healthy assignments. Anybody from the student hub? A line is true. You need to practice in mathematics and we correctly assignments. So you need to do a lot of these basic stuff so that this part don't hold you back. Yes, you're understanding the advanced topics, but now you hold back because you are saying, okay, 2x plus 10 is equal to -15, and I'm just running through this part. But you need to go through this part at a snail pace because you ain't seeing what's going on here at all. This part need to get real fast, right? Everybody, organize a little foundation, algebra, arithmetic. So the last part of the question, which I erased, unfortunately, is something to do with perpendicular lines. And I really want to just run off this real fast to show you how this is done. So if a line is perpendicular, there's a rule. If a line is parallel, there's a rule. Let me go and show you on the program that we have up. We come into end, everybody. Hang tight, lock in. So like if I said y is equal to 2x plus 1, we know this is gradient 2. This is cutting through 1. Now if I said y is equal to 2x, and I just increase this to, instead of 1, I put 5. What do you notice about these lines? They will never meet. Lines that never meet are called friend zone lines. Parallel lines. Parallel lines. Parallel lines. I don't mean to hit so close to home, people. So yeah, lines that never meet are called parallel lines. These lines will never meet. And they are parallel because the gradients are the same. Now, I want to make a line and I want to switch around 2 to a half. And I want to make it -1/2. -1/2. X. And I can make it plus, let's make it cut through the 6 then. Plus 6. What we notice here. And I'm looking perpendicular to you. So it happens that if I flip this number around and switch it negative, it will be perpendicular. That's just how it works out. I didn't make the rules. God make the rules. God make the rules of God. People, they say, if I only get to that man who make mathematics, God make mathematics. God make mathematics. The world is as it is. God created everything. So we just have the interpretation of mathematics. So anyhow, this is perpendicular. So the rule is, if you're watching two lines like this, y is equal to 3x plus 5, y is equal to -3x plus 5, This is a question in the multiple choice actually. Y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 5. Y is equal to 3x plus 10. And I have A, B, C, D. Which two lines are parallel? Which two lines are parallel to each other? Parallel of two L's. Which two lines are parallel to each other? Which two lines are perpendicular? Which two lines are perpendicular to each other? Parallel to each other must be A and D because they have the same gradient. Perpendicular, I need to flip this. Keep in mind, like if it was 2/3, I'd have to flip it to 3/2 and then put negative. But it's just 3. So that's like 3/1. So if I flip 3/1, it turns to 1/3 and I put negative. It's called the negative reciprocal or the negative inverse, some people is called it. So the lines that are perpendicular are A and C. A and C are perpendicular. This is perpendicular. This is guaranteed to be tested in either your paper 2 or your paper 1. Guaranteed. There's no way that they can let this pass. This knowledge, they come in at you with this. They might come at you with this exact same question. Who knows? Who knows? I didn't leak no paper. All right, so the line L2 passes through the point this and is perpendicular to L1. So the equation of L1 was y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 5/2. Plus 5/2. Y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 5/2. All we really need from this line is the gradient. So let me rake it out. So M1 is negative 2/3. And they tell us it's perpendicular. That means the gradient M2, let's set M2 to be the gradient of L2, has to be flip him. And we gotta flip him. It's 2/3. We're gonna have to flip him, so it turns to 3/2. And we gotta drop a negative sign in front of him. So somebody like, we have a negative sign already, so I'm gonna leave it. No. If you drop a negative sign in front of this, it will turn back positive. You always have to change whatever sign this is. So 3/2 is the actual answer. This is negative, negative, so it turned positive. And that is the new gradient. So that is the new there. That is the new gradient there earlier. That is the new gradient of the perpendicular line. And it also passes through this point. So there are two skills that you must know for coordinate geometry. It's how to find the equation of a line given 2 points. So you must know that skill. You can research it on my channel. Or how to find the equation of a line given a point and a gradient. The second one is actually easier because if you're doing the first one, you had to find the gradient first anyhow. So the second one is actually the easier step. So here's how it's done. There's 2 ways to do it. The most common way in the Caribbean is you start off with y is equal to mx plus c and you substitute everything you know. So let's do that. We know y, we'll substitute a sample y. We know x, we'll substitute that sample x. Look, lo and behold, we also know m. We'll substitute that. That will just leave us with c. So we can find out c. Yeah, that making sense for everybody? Let's go. So we'll have negative 4. This point must pass through the line. Negative 4 is equal to 3/2. X is 0. That's fantastic for us because that was 0 by anything is just 0. So it turns out C is negative 4. Once you find C and you find M, you have the equation of a line. So y is equal to 3/2x minus 4 is the equation of the line that they are looking for. We have properly described the line. Think of the equation of a line as of like a name. Y equal 3x minus 4. Present. So this is the line. This is the name for this line. And it's described by its first and its last name, or the gradient, and its y-intercept. And you have properly defined on this line. There's no other line but this line that can form this line. Enough talk on that. Only I feeling tired. I feel like it's time to rack up the. If you want to know what is the next method to find the equation of a line, you don't like this method, you could go and look up coordinate geometry, Kerwin Springer. Yeah, boy, so there was some talk passing around that they leaked the paper. I could tell her they didn't leak no paper. Paper wasn't leak. I don't think so. Can't put my head on a block. This is the Caribbean, this is CX. But it's not leaked as far as I know. I just seen a picture passing around all over and people only messaging me on Instagram and thing about it. So I don't think it leaked. And I'm hoping that it's not leaked. Please don't let nothing be leaked this year. There's lots of different procedures that they put in place since last year. Like for SEA, a lot of people don't know SEA, Common Entrance, PEP. A lot of these internal exams, I think, only belong in your country. CXC be running them exams too, CXCs be running real exams. Tell you, go and look at CXC revenue on Wikipedia. Your mind will be blown. Anyhow, so the CXC, I think they seal the individual papers, They sealed up the individual papers so that it became harder for leaks to happen. Even last year, when the leaks happened in Jamaica, they were able to identify what school the paper come from, because the people who leaked the paper, it's not too smart people who leak papers, right? The people who stole the papers and leak it left the information and the underneath. The information and the underneath of a CXC paper could identify what school and thing the paper came from. So it has something like code or numbers or some kind of thing too. So yeah, so CXC putting in all kind of thing in place to stop papers being leaked. But in 2024, it's kind of hard right now to do an exam through the entire Caribbean. Another fact that a lot of people don't know. This is a fact that a lot of people don't know. This is Jamaica up here, right? Trinidad down here, Guyana down here. Guyana is not even an island. Venezuela fighting Guyana to take piece of the land and thing right now. Guyana down there, Barbados up there, Antigua, St. Lucia, Grenada. Sorry if I didn't call your country. Thing. The plan is to actually visit every country that does CXC, every country in the Caribbean, actually. Yeah. So far, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Tobago, Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados. Hey, Barbados, sorry, Tobago. Anyhow, what I was going to say, a lot of people don't know that all are we here in one time zone, AST or something is our time zone. Jamaica actually in another time zone. Anybody from Jamaica? Tell me, what's the time in Jamaica right now? All the Jamaican people, tell me, what's the time in Jamaica right now? What's the time in Jamaica? The time in Trinidad is 8:31. What's the time in Jamaica? Look on your watch and see, and see if you can see 7:31. Do you know there's a country way over here called Belize? Anybody from Belize by chance? That does CXC. It have one or two people that do CXC in Belize. And I think they are extra hour or two behind. What does that mean? That means all exams would start 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. or whatever. When we start our exam, there have been occasions. Remember, my platform, the Student Hub, my channels is throughout the entire Caribbean. There have been, I watch it happen in my inbox. There are occasions when people leave this exam and people in Jamaica ain't enter the exam yet. Think about it. That's a massive security flaw. That's a massive security flaw, right? CXC spy, and that's a big problem. Or worse yet, in Belize, we finish the exam, and Belize now have an hour to start before they do the exam. So very interesting things can happen in this 2024. That was not a problem in 1998. It didn't have no internet. I didn't do the exam in 1998. I did it in 2005. While I was doing it in 2005. So yeah, so it's very interesting trying to do an exam through the entire Caribbean region, CARICOM region, and keep the exam secure. Yeah, all you know, CX, you don't like me and I don't like them neither. But I could still say that it poses a massive challenge to fix this problem. So one of the things is to do the exam online, but then that'll introduce other problems. So we wait and see what's going to happen. The maths exam is the biggest exam for CXC. Sometimes you have 100 and something thousand people doing the exam at once. So we will see what happens. We will see what happens. All right, people. We don't drag this live on any longer. I hope all you're studying. I hope all the preaching that I did to you all hit home and people study and actually pull off the little passes and things. One of the things that happens on my channel is that people meet me all over who do exams and they're like, sir, thank you, and shaking my hand. So you help me pass maths and thing. Because right now, you know what we're doing right now? We trauma bonding. we bonding over trauma. Yeah, sometimes the best friends you make is when you're studying with them. You make lifelong friends studying with people before exams. So all right, Ali, I really hope all you do good in there. I really hope all you do good in the exams tomorrow. Please, God, what is the plan, boy? Statistics, love it. So we're gonna be hitting some statistics tomorrow. We'll look at cumulative frequency and all that jazz. Histogram, everything. And then after statistics, we will go into measurement. Hopefully you're not. Yeah, boy, I'm real tired, but I can't even spell measurement right. Hopefully you're not underestimating measurement. And I want to also throw in a little live for the physics people and the admaths people this week. So please look out for that. What today is Monday? Today's Monday. So maybe even tomorrow I could throw in some admaths after we finish this. I could just end the live and roll out back with a little admaths again. And I'll jump in with something for the physics people later on in the week too. We have a little series. The series isn't gonna be as long as the math series, but we can start to build something. Love and blessings, everybody. Let me not keep you back any longer. Go and eat your food and take some studying tonight. Study with your pen and your paper, right? Don't just read, right? Try and hit a 4 hours tonight. 4 hours tonight, right? 4 hours if you're going to hit them at 4 hours tonight at least. Some of you have exams to study for, so some of you might have to write 8 hours. How long are you studying for tonight? Later, people, how are they?